Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyper hyped to announce tonight's guest. I am joined by the awesomeness that is Taylor T, and we are here to talk about wrestling with pride. Taylor, you good?
Oh, I'm all grand, thank you. And yourself?
Mate, I am 5 by 5, too blessed to be stressed. So yeah, man, everything's kosher. But dude, obviously, out the gate. First of all, thank you for just sitting down and having a chat. Obviously, what you guys are doing with Wrestling with Pride is very, very cool. Looking through your socials, looking at some of the previous shows, looking at the talent that you guys use, mate. It's absolutely smashing it.
Yeah, I mean, we're just chipping away, Obviously, thanks very much for having us on and ability to talk about what we're doing. I think what we are doing is something very special. It's not the first of it to ever be done, I guess, but it's something new for the Northeast as well. And it seems to have whipped up a bit of a storm in the wrestling world because we're getting people wanting to be involved from all sorts of areas of the world.
Oh, tell us more. I'm interested.
Yeah, so I've had messages from people in France, America, as far as Canada as well, wanting to come across and take part, but unfortunately the budget's not able to stretch that far at the present time.
Not yet, not yet. But as the momentum builds, then, but at least you're on the radars. At least you can kind of go back and sort of say that and be like, look, at the minute, we're just building up, we're building up momentum kind of thing. But, obviously, yeah, love to have you over, down the road, when we can. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I think wrestling does that. It connects a lot of people all over the world, whether it be podcasts or shows. And in fact, a lot of the Patreon shows that we sell online sell to America. There's a lot of fans who, as soon as they go on Patreon, they buy them straight away. So there is a fan base there, which is fantastic.
nice.
Good for us. It means we're reaching places we didn't think it would ever go to.
That's it. It's mind blowing, isn't it? That's just, I was having this conversation. I had a Rock Solid Media on a few weeks ago, and they was also talking about like filming shows, filming wrestling in Newcastle and like other shows. But like when those shows get uploaded onto YouTube or Patreon kind of thing, like he was sort of saying, it's mind blowing to think, obviously these shows are happening in like a small town somewhere or a big town, those size dependent, but then they're being watched worldwide. It's just kind of like, oh, this happy little promotion, or trying to spread the love, trying to show, put this positivity across, and it's radiating outwards, and
Yeah,
it's
I
far
really
reaching.
I really think it's sort of a situation where the world's a big place, but within communities that like wrestling communities, it becomes very small, and the internet bridged that gap even further than it was before. There's
Yeah,
people, everyone who follows the pages that we have, may not be able to get to a show because of the location, but they definitely show us so much love and support, and we're really grateful of that. And I know that the talent that take part in the shows and the people that I bring down from Scotland and the likes, they're really, over the moon that they're getting likes and followers from people all over the world, really. And again, it's the way it should be. We should all be supporting each other to do what we enjoy, which is professional wrestling.
that's it exactly. And I used to say, yeah, it just gets eyes on them. It's like a symbiotic relationship. Obviously, the talent needs the promotions need the talent, both need the audience. We obviously need both to have something to watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get behind everything. As a fan, speaking from the fans' perspective, yeah, if we see something we like or we enjoy, man, we've got to support it. You've got to show it that love. You've kind of got to let them know that they're being watched. You've got to follow the promotion. You've got to follow the talent. Like stuff, comment on it. Just let them know that they're appreciated, and so they just keep going and going.
Yeah, I mean, love makes the world go around just like money, and I think it's just, if I get the opportunity to go to a local show, I mean, Newcastle is a thriving place for independent wrestling, and you mentioned wrestling in Newcastle, and it's such a shame that they've closed shop. because I did get to one of their shows and it was a fantastic show. I really enjoyed it. I took my nephew, the oldest middle nephew with us, and he thoroughly enjoyed it as well. So it just goes. I mean, well, shelf life it can be limited, you know, and you don't know when the end's going to come. So my emphasis is always on having as much fun at that show as possible, and moving to the next one, doing exactly the same, and not looking too far ahead because you just don't know what you've got.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, obviously, you kind of in the back end, you've kind of got to forward plan a little bit, but you've also got to, like you say, live in the moment, enjoy that show, and, you know, start planning for the next one. But then in the back of your head, you can kind of be like, well, you know, in 6 months' time, we might take it this way, kind of thing. But let's just do this for now. So,
yeah, I mean, I get so carried away. Sometimes people have got to say to us, "You need to calm, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. You're going too crazy because you get all these." So, I mean, for a living, I drive a bus, so I'm on my own all day, and you can imagine what it's like. And I'm getting all these great ideas. And as soon as I come off, I'm messaging Ruby Baker, ring announcer, and also the secretary of what we're doing. I'm like, what about this? What about this? And she's like, just take a chill. You're at work, you know, pipe down. So I do need somebody to keep us in check because I can't become a lunatic.
Right. So I tell you again, you know, as a fan, I'm bad for it. You know, like me and Dan, when we talk about sort of other shows, or we're like trying to hype up shows, we're like, oh, what about this result? Well, we're trying to predict results. We then sort of sidebar spiral into like just fantasy booking and be like, oh, what if this? What if this? What if this? What if this? And then between us, we've booked the promotion for the next 12 months, and they were like, oh, quite right, you know,
well,
we're not even responsible.
It's interesting because the last show that we've done, Bash and Baker, was a huge show. It had a rumble, it had a tag team tournament. Yeah. It was like massive. And looking back at it, I think, Christ, it was top heavy. You know, it didn't have to be, but yeah, we'll live and learn.
That's it. At least you've learned. It's but yeah, I'm looking through. Obviously, like I said, you know, keep an eye on your socials or see what shows you've got coming up and everything like that. We'll talk about May's show. That's later on kind of thing. But as you sort of said, looking back at the ones that have happened previously, you know, like I said, I'm just looking through the talent, and obviously, you know, I mentioned him before we hit record. Mr. Jimmy Kuma. Obviously, I had the pleasure of speaking to him a couple of months ago. Yeah. I lose track of time. It seemed like a couple of weeks, but it's probably been a couple of months now since I spoke to Jimmy. But yeah, what an awesome human being, and obviously he shouted you guys out on his episode.
You know, Jimmy is just an all-round stellar guy. You know, there's no other real definition I can give Jimmy. You know, he's been with us from the beginning, really, here at Wrestling with Pride, and he's just fundamentally amazing. Like he comes to shows, he always brings treats, and I mean, I love cake, so he always brings a muffin, or you know, and he's just a phenomenal person inside and out. I've got so much love for Jimmy, and he'll go far places if he keeps cracking away the way he is.
That's it. You know, he's got the character, he's got the personality, he's got the charisma, he's got everything about him. He just looks. You put him on a poster, dude looks like a wrestler. Yeah, he's going to get eyes on the prize, kind of thing. And I say, it just helps. Like you sort of said, he's just a genuinely awesome human being. So yeah, nothing but love for Jimmy. So again, reading off of somebody else, nothing but love for Mr. Shay Monet. I've seen him being on your shows. Again, he's just awesome, and to have Shay on your shows is legend. Next level. Yeah,
and I was a fan of Shay Monet for a long time. I used to watch him on Instagram and stuff, and follow his sort of career. And I remember the first time I had him come to Wrestling with Pride. I was struck with like fan syndrome. I was all giddy and weird, and I asked, I got a selfie with him, and I was like, I got so, and I kept saying to Ruby, ring announcer and help. I kept saying to Ruby, do you realize like he's going to be wrestling in front of her, like at a show of books? And she's like, yeah, I know. I was like, I can't believe it. Like, and do you know what it is? He's one of those individuals as well outside of the ring. He's one of those who will keep us in check, and creatively guide us and say that's good, but what about this? Think about, and he does. I've learned a lot from the likes of Shay Monet and Austin Brooks as well. You know, he's another phenomenal wrestler from Scotland. Fraser Gervin, again, a lot of knowledge, and that's why I like to work with people who have been in the business a while. Ewan G. Mackey, you know, fantastic mind in the business, and you learn so much from them. One of the most fascinating things I've ever witnessed actually was you and Gene Mackey running through a match with somebody at a show, not one of my shows, but a different one, using wrestling figures. And it was literally the most intriguing thing I've ever witnessed. And I remember it takes a lot to shut me up, and I was just stood in total awe of what was going on. And the person who he was wrestling, John, and Ewan left, and John looked at me and went, "What the fuck was that? What on earth just happened?" And to this day, I couldn't tell you, but like I say, fascinating individuals, and that's what makes it important. Wrestling's a patchwork quilt at the end of the day, and every single wrestler brings their own colour to the blanket, and that's what I wanted Wrestling Pride with Pride to be about. You know, we're all different, we're all sort of in the same boat. Let's put on a banging show, bring it together.
Variety, you know, I've heard it. It's probably cliche to say it now on my side as a fan kind of thing, but yeah, you know, it's a good wrestling show is a variety show. It's like a circus. You know, there's a bit of this, there's a bit of that. You know, most of the time I enjoy everything on a show, but even the times when I don't, it's not a bad thing. You know, it's great if you enjoy everything on a show.
Yeah.
You're not meant to. You know, there is meant to be a bit of everything for everyone. And if some of it doesn't click with me, that's fine. You know, it's probably not aimed at me. But for the most part, I'm probably one of the easiest fans to please. I just like everything. You know, I just like it's wrestling.
I think I'm very much like you in that respect. I think it's unless it's extremely something I'm not interested in it. Like I remember going to a show, and there were I can't remember what the promotion was called or what the project was, but there was a match involved in a cage, like a little dog cage thing, and the match seemed to go on forever, and I lost it completely what was happening. And I remember the people I was with were saying, I think it was the main event actually as well. The full show was like 5 stars, but that one match just seemed to throw everybody. And I always say to people, sometimes the wrestlers in the ring and the promoters know and understand the story better than the fans ever will. So actually, it doesn't matter because they're telling a story, and in their mind, it's playing out how they want. I mean, you might like hardcore wrestling, or you might like just world of sports style technical wrestling. That's fine. And if your show is colourful enough to have a bit of that, every bit of that in it, you're going to suit all needs. It's about getting the balance right.
Yes, exactly. But what you just sort of said there, though, that to me would be like a rookie mistake in regards to if you're telling the story just for the talent and the promoter, if they get it, awesome. But the show's for the fans. You know, it's the fans that need to get it, kind of thing. If you need to dumb it down for the fans, dumb it down for the fans. You know, it should be, wrestling at its core is really basic storylines, but just kind of, it's the talent that levels it up. But your basic stories are just like betrayal or David versus Goliath or sort of good guy versus bad guy. So yeah, I've heard that whatever that promotion was for me, again speaking from this side of the curtain, an uneducated opinion, I would look at that and be like, they kind of messed up a little bit by
and again, I think it dampened the whole show, and I think that's how easy it can be for it to fall sideways. And there's sometimes like with wrestling with Pride shows, I do try to be creative. Like we've had all sorts of weird and wonderful things, to like gimmick matches where you've got a Pride flag on a pole, or you've got the 3 beacons of smoke where you've got to pull a smoke bomb off each turnbuckle, and that sort of thing. And actually, sometimes the wrestlers might think, "Oh God, I've got to climb up and do this," but the fans love it. Like the young fans. I remember the smoke pull match. The kids were so into it, like they were screaming. They were like practically breaking the windows. It was stick to say it was a fun, and that's what it's all about. And at the last show that we did, Bash and Biker, the main event, on the build up to that show, I had a few health things going on, so I was a bit out of the loop with a lot of things. But the show was quite stressful. The lead up. Anyway, at the main event, we had Eddie Jade take on Nico Astro and Austin Brooks for the Pride Revolution Championship. And I remember watching it backstage through the curtain because normally I'm too busy to even watch. I'm always doing something. Yeah. But at the end, I kind of had an emotional moment where I was like, we did it. You know, we got to the end and we got the show done. And Ruby came backstage, and I was like bubbling like a child. I was like, oh, she was like, I know you did us. We did it. I says, I can't believe we got through because it was such a build up, you know. And I obviously in the debrief, I thank the full team for what they do. It's an amazing feeling when it all goes right. Makes it all worthwhile.
The smoke match thing. Can you elaborate? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so we had 3 smoke grenades. It looks like a pipe bomb. On a sellotape to each turnbuckle, like 3 of the turnbuckles, and you had to pull the person who pulled the most smoke. But so, for example, the heel might have pulled the first one, the second one, then the last one would declare the winner. That's how it went, actually, to be fair. So basically, whoever can ignite the most smoke wins the match.
Nice. Well, again, yeah, like I said, that's unique. I've never heard of that before. It sounds awesome. It's like a spin on the 4 corners kind of, obviously kind of thing. But visually, though,
I sort of come up with as well was it was called the Golden Guardian match. So basically, the Golden Guardian was a character dressed in gold, and he was on the stage, and the singles match took place between 2 wrestlers, and to unlock the Golden Guardian, you had to pin or throw your opponent over the top rope. But to win the match, you had to actually pin the Golden Guardian. But you could only do that after you'd eliminated your opponent. So it was interesting. I think I got it more than anybody else. But selfishly, I enjoyed the whole thing. And I remember somebody said to us, I had no idea what was going on. That's what I did, and I fucking loved it. So, and the fans were liking it as well, but I think they were liking the wrestling more than anything else. But yeah, it was good, crazy fun,
That sounds mental. But again, it's different. That's the kind of sort of thing, not everything's going to hit. They sound awesome. But again, it's different. It's memorable. That the smoke, corner smoke, sort of idea. I said it's a spin on the 4 corners, but visually, that's awesome. I can imagine being at a show, just see just see that going off, and you got to remember it as a fan. It's going to be like, oh, remember that time we saw that match, like smoke everywhere on the corners, mate. That was awesome. But that's half the battle in wrestling is being memorable.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's why when it comes to like the shows and planning. You're almost trying to do something different every time. It's not always possible. So it's just about reinventing what you've done before in a different style. Which is why like the story building is quite important. And consistently using some of the same people in the year run. So obviously last year we'd introduced the Pride Revolution Championship, and that's currently held by Eddie Jade. 10 months in it, he's held it, and he's defended it against some great, amazing folk. And this year is about the tag team sort of division. So we're introducing the Pride and Glory Championships. And they're going to be basically, there's going to be a tag match between basically which is Danny Kay and Rosie Knight, versus Spawn and Persona, the Legion. And they'll determine the new tag champs. And that'll be happening in Pride Mania. So this year's about that. And it's just about each year, the story's been in a different direction, because some promotions will start and have all of the belts on the first show, and each to their own. But for me, I thought, well, the first year I wanted to be about that belt. This year is about the tag belts, and then we've got other little things going on in between, like with a bit of a faction thing at the moment that I'm building on. And yeah, it's just really about, and I think being called Wrestling with Pride. Obviously, we're fundamentally an LGBTQ plus friendly promotion, a safe space for fans of that community to enjoy wrestling, but also a platform for wrestlers to take part all year round. It doesn't mean, because we've painted it with a rainbow, that's where it sits. But more importantly, I think everything you do should do with pride anyway. You raise your kids with pride. You take pride in your work, and actually it can be associated with everything, which is why this year it's about sort of getting involved in the community, which is what Pride Mania is all about. That's why it's been held outdoors. It's been held at a festival that we've put together. with their stalls and music, and yeah, it's going to be a big thing. It's just about getting it right on the day.
Dude, right. Well, obviously, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second because you just mentioned two of my favorite things in British wrestling: tag teams and factions. Massive, massive mark. There's nowhere near enough factions for my liking in British wrestling. There needs to be loads. Just on a carnage, on a roll, just causing destruction kind of thing. Invading other promotions. We want like just factions and yeah, tag team wrestling. Hand on heart, a great tag team match is better than a great singles match in my eyes.
Yeah.
That's side of the fence that I stand on, kind of thing. If it's done right, mate, yeah, I love tag team wrestling. So for a promotion to be focusing on the tag titles, yeah, that ticks all my boxes.
I mean, you know yourself, like growing up, I grew up watching the Attitude Era, you know, and you had some of the most colourful tag teams. Like you had the APA, you know, you had the New Age Outlaws, you had the Hardy Boys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian. Then you had factions like the Corporate Ministry, the Brood, you know, D-Generation X, and Evolution came along a little bit later on. And you just, and for me, it was always big pops when you were watching it. And that's what I want for what we're doing as well. And I just think tag team wrestling sometimes gets a bit overlooked. Because everyone wants to be the top fun show, but actually there's so much more in a tag team match that you can offer people. And the chemistry between the teams, you know, I've seen some absolutely amazing tag teams, like for example, independently, Spawn and Persona, the Lady Legion. The chemistry they've got is just absolutely fantastic in what they do. Both very, very talented individuals. And it's the same with the Meat Factory from up in Scotland. Kerr and Craig Berry, fantastic. And I love the style. And when I go to a wrestling show, I always pay a lot of attention to the tag matches because, like I say, it's my favorite sort of art of wrestling is tag teams.
Yes, me. Just when I thought you couldn't get any cooler, you could just take it up. I love a person who loves a tag team. So yeah, that's all my boxes. I'm just like, because the thing, like you say, and obviously in your situation as well, it just gives you extra choices. You know, you can have the tag team matches. You can have, you know, two. It could take two matches up. You could have two singles matches where you've got one half of each tag team taking on each other in a singles match. You can have them in a tag match. You can have them one-on-one, but in corners. It's just creativity opens up when you talk about. For me, anyway, I would think of it that way. Be like, I've got so many more options when you start working with tag teams.
There's some tag teams as well that literally like. I'm gonna use an example of horrorcore, which is Cherry Knox and Leon Graves. I don't know if you've came across them, and they are literally for me everything I like about wrestling. Whether with the character work, Venus is exactly the same. The dark sort of imagery, like Undertaker style, and although they probably don't live the life dressed how they wrestle, but you can almost believe them. And I think that's what makes it really special because, like I say, I love the likes of your Goldusts, your Gangrels, your Canes. They were always my favourite wrestlers. I was never sort of struck on just trunk wearing wrestlers. It was always the characters, you know, the big personalities. And they
larger than life.
Give us it. They give us all of that. When I seen them online, I was like, the possibilities here are endless. I was almost like a lunatic sitting by a cauldron. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was like. And I was like sending over Ruby saying, look at this. She was like, yeah. I was like, I need to book these.
Get them on. But no, I'm the same as you. I love, I've said this so many times. Again, I'm kind of worried I'll repeat myself because it's just, but yeah, I love the characters. I love, you know, it seemed for a while in British wrestling at least, you know, they kind of vanished. Everybody just kind of wanted to be just themselves, so, you know, just be a high flyer, wanted to be Jeff Hardy's kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of coming back now where a lot of 87% of people seem to be so focused on the character work. You know, they're building up a character. They've kind of got, you know, the character work kind of precedes the in-ring work. Obviously, great in the ring, but they have to work in the ring on how their character would be. The ring work has to fit the character as opposed to
Yeah,
the other way around. Um, and it's just crazy. I mean, you mentioned, obviously where I am, we've got an amazing team called the Freak Show, which is Axel the Clown, Gentleman Jim Maguire, and Freaky Felicia. And if you ever see these guys, you sort of said, they are 100% believable. You believe that they are those characters. Well,
yeah,
I've seen them, outside of shows. I know the real personas kind of thing.
yeah,
It's still, I don't think of the real personas. Will I see them at a show in character? They are that character, 100%, and I can imagine them being that character 24/7.
yeah.
It's
But
just
it's
nailed on.
it's interesting you should mention Axel the Clown, because way back a good couple of years ago, I was actually in a rumble with him. And yeah, I know what you mean. But the clown thing always strikes in the right nerve with fans. And I always said, like, when I met him and I seen what he could do, I was like, it's just a clown, and it does everything you say it does. On the tin, it's what it is, what it is. But when I was in the rumble with him, it was almost quite freaky, because you become on that level. Yeah, and he had everyone, basically. He had the fans in the palm of his hand. So I know Axel. I don't know him but I've worked with him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
who was the other one? Jim Maguire.
Gentleman Jim Maguire and Freaky Felicia. They kind of form a faction called the Freak Show, where you've got Jim and Axel as the team, and Freaky's kind of like the valet. She'll be on the outside, or she'll get interfere kind of thing. She'll come into the ring, do the spider walk, scare the opponents, and just it's just a very good act.
Yeah, that's really good.
But definitely, Gentleman Jim Maguire is a gentleman in his 50s, old school, sort of, strong man, kind of mustache, beard.
Actually, I think he was at that show that I seen in Newcastle. I think he was on that show. Does he come to the ring with like his own turnbuckle and stuff?
Not that I've ever seen, but I've only ever seen him at like Planet and Tidal. I know obviously they mix it up in different promotions. They might be like the character, so I wouldn't want to say for definite yes or no.
I'm sure that's the same one. I'll have to look after come off. Yeah, I'll have to look. I'm sure, but yeah, fantastic. I love that sort of.
Yeah.
Eloise alluding to the style of the past. I think it's a fantastic sort of a stand-up gimmick. It's solid.
Yeah, it's definitely, and he does a little Morris dances in the ring as well, and then just slaps, does a cheeky drop kick at the end. It just works. It sounds really bizarre when I'm saying it, but it's like, it just Planet Wrestle on YouTube. If you get a spare, like hour one time where you're just looking for some random wrestling to watch, they're both on Planet Wrestle's YouTube channel. So I would point you in that direction. But yeah, like I said, that is the whole couch thing. You mentioned obviously, Pride Mania. We've got that coming up on the 23rd of May. As you sort of said, the tag team division is the focus, but it's outside. You've got this whole festival, mate. That's huge. That's something different and memorable. And the people who go to that show are going to be like, yeah, what do you do this weekend? Oh, went to a festival. Loads of awesome stores, ate some food, watched some great wrestling. It's the experience.
I did go to a Pride event a few years ago, and I put on a wrestling show for another company there, and the concept was great, but I felt that the wrestling was pushed to one side. And although it did get a good gathering, I wanted to build something that brings not only the community in that live nearby this place, this sports ground we're going to be using, but also if they come to that and they donate on the gate, they're putting some money in the tin and they're watching the wrestling, they might like it so much that they'll come to a house show, as I'm going to say. But also, like, the whole thing of running a festival in that area is new. It's never been done there. Let alone wrestling, there's never been anything like that. They had a beer festival thing on, but nothing that has what we're going to put on. It's going to be something very unique for the locals. And the interesting thing about this is it's all self-generating. So it's not like there's no way it's sort of costing the environment, or it's not costing a great deal, because it's all self-sustainable. It's probably the only show that I've ever done that is. so from that respect, it's tickety boo. But I'm so excited.
Got to start somewhere. That's just, yeah. Obviously, send us over when you get a chance. Let us send us over the details. I'll try and share what I can share on the socials and stuff as well. Just to, obviously, 'cause it's stuff like that I just think is. I know True Grit did like a festival last year. That seemed to go really well. People, that kind of audience, like if you get the passing fan or the casual fan, that's great. But you say you've got a fan base as well who are going to be interested and going to want to come.
Yeah.
And it just makes it, like I say, it makes it feel like a special event because it's outside. It kind of almost feels, I mean, no pun intended, given the name of the show, but it kind of feels like a little mini mania kind of thing. You know what I mean? You've got this
Yeah.
festival, you've got other stuff going on. It's just a bigger atmosphere.
And I think, because we're still relatively new, well, we are like still in our youthful stage of a promotion. We're only into our second year. It's adding something different to what we've done, and I think it's about giving everyone the experience as well to take part in a gala show like that as well is really good, because some people probably never have. I don't know, for us it'll be probably the first time we've ever stepped into that realm. But I just want everyone to have a good time, fans and the talent alike. I want them to have the best time. And I always say to them, on show days, and I'll say, my part now is done. It's over to you. Stay within the realms of safety and training, have as much fun as you can. And, the atmosphere is always good. I always like I say, we'll have biscuits and cakes and treats. And I'm going to get something very special for Pride Mania, but going to get something special. But yeah, I'll have to tell you here because I don't want them to know. But yeah, I'm so excited. And I love working with people as well. Like, I've got such a great team there. Some people come, some people go. That's how wrestling works. But the solid foundation we've got, they're just such a great bunch of people. And I couldn't do this without them. It's about them more than anybody else. It's not about me. I enjoy putting on the shows and watching them, but I like to give them the opportunity to perform somewhere safe, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, mate, that's amazing, because that's things what I always kind of thought. Again, I've spoken to numerous promotions over the few years that we've been doing this kind of thing, and the key thing always seems to be, is getting to work with people, that they like, that they appreciate, but also making sure that the promotion itself, or when a talent finds out that they're booked for this show, or when the promotion reaches out and the talent's like, yes, I love working for Wrestling with Pride. Every time I've ever been there, it's amazing. Word of mouth, they tell people, right, you need to work with Wrestling.
Yeah,
Wrestling with Pride.
That happens so much as well. Like, it's normally the opening message from new people who want to take part. I've spoke with Nico Astro. He says it's a great place and said nothing but positive things. I'd love to be involved. And you're right. And do you know what it is though? Like, the independent wrestling scene is very fickle, and it tends to have a lot of inward view as opposed to outward view. Now, I'll happily support any promotion, share any promotion's content. And also, when talent put the booking posters on, I always put them on our stories and I share them, because they're promoting me and what I'm wanting to achieve as a promoter. So therefore, I should be promoting them. And it's the same with other promotions. Like, if like Eddie Jades defended our belt at PCW, Preston Championship Wrestling. So it kind of works well to be sort of on good par with people. I certainly am not in this to ruffle any feathers. I want to have a good time. Again, I'm not about that life. So I'll support anyone that supports. In fact, I wouldn't even care if they don't support what I do. I just think it's right to support other people as well.
Ticking, that's been my soapbox for a long time. Again, I've always that's the whole point of Work the Left Side. If nobody knows, or why we do this kind of thing, it's not about us. It's to promote British wrestling as a whole, promote the promotions, the talent, try and share as much stuff as humanly possible as we can regarding shows and what talent are up to let people know what's going on. I can only cover a certain area, but I try and focus around the northeast, the northwest, Yorkshire, and the Midlands.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that mindset as well. I've run a few social media accounts for a promotion, and when I was kind of running their Twitter, I was sharing what other promotions were going on. I double checked with the promoter first, like, do you mind if I do this? Because in my eyes, it makes sense. We share their stuff, they'll share our stuff. There's a lot of crossover fans. Everybody, their fans could become our fans. They're all wrestling fans. It just a rising. Again, I'll throw out the cliches tonight, but a rising tide raises all ships.
I mean, ultimately, wrestling promotions are only as good as the people that are within them. And if you have a good team and you're doing positive things for not only the wrestlers, the fans alike, people should celebrate that with you. They shouldn't bring you down. And I think there's a lot of the bringing down thing happens. Now, obviously, I've got a lot of wrestling friends now, like massive group of wrestling friends who are like, I see them and speak to them more than I do some of my own family, to be fair, because they're just such a good group of people to be around. Like the Imperial Wrestling Federation and Dropkick Championship Wrestling, two promotions very close to my heart. I've worked with everyone there for such a long time elsewhere. So to cross post what they do and to use the same people they use from time to time, and although we're an LGBTQ plus promotion, obviously allies are a massive part of that. So it's about giving opportunities to that side of things as well. And we all get on like a house on fire, and it's like a big, like I say, I don't like the whole we're a family because it sounds very cultish, but we're like we are just all cut from the same cloth. We all want the same thing, and again, I'd support them to my last breath, really.
Again, I use that as I never think it was a bad thing. I would describe the wrestling, some wrestling schools or some promotions or like so that kind of community it's just a misfit. It's just like a massive family, but a really misfit bunch of mavericks who are just like, everyone's got that kind of cousin where they're like, oh crap, right, but you love being around them, but you're like, yeah, they're going to cause some chaos, which is what you want on a wrestling show sometimes, but in the best kind of way. It's just, everybody, you've got that kind of it's just one big crazy family, but not in a cult way.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I've been to shows myself, and I think the last sort of independent show I think it was Rapid Action. Well, anyway, so I went to one of their shows, and there was a lot of people there that I'd met from wrestling, and great night all round. But that venue closed. So I think they've had to relocate somewhere else, and that's the other thing, finding the right venue in place. I mean, we use a club in Baker, and they have a massive array of entertainment on it, and a lot of the local people who go there have become wrestling fans all of a sudden, and that's what you want. You want to help put money into them businesses as well. As much as we want to sell tickets and give the platform we do, it's about social clubs. Wrestling and social clubs have got a big relationship over the years. They've been hand in hand for a while, and actually the pub trade and social clubs are at risk. And if we can bring people into their door and put money into their tills, we're keeping a business open as well. So it's about supporting them as well. The clubs and pubs or venues that put wrestling on.
I agreed. Like I said earlier about the symbiotic kind of relationship between promoters and talent. Again, venues are in that kind of symbiotic relationship as well, because obviously you all need venues to put shows on. Like I said, I think that we talked about wrestling in Newcastle before. I only managed to get to one of their live shows, and that was the Rumble that they had this year. But the venue was amazing. It's kind of like a social club. But when you stepped inside, it looked awesome. But it's that
their whole setup was good. It was very TV like, and I really loved the aesthetic vibe they gave. And we have big promotions in the Northeast, like North, for example, and Prime. But wrestling in Newcastle, in my personal opinion, were rival to that sort of level because of how they put their show out. Same with Full Tilt Wrestling, based also in Newcastle, running out of the Jubilee Club in Walker. Again, been going forever, MEW. And these are all promotions that I look and take a lot of sort of ideas from, because they're surviving and thriving, and there's room for everybody if we just allow them to be.
Yeah.
But all of them promotions do their own thing, and I really love how each one's different. But I loved the aesthetic of wrestling in Newcastle. I really did. I was devastated when I seen that they were shutting up. Like,
yeah, fingers crossed. We'll never say never in the world of wrestling, as they say. And Benji, yeah, we hope you come back at some point, because I was a massive advocate for Win. I kind of came across them on their YouTube, started watching every show they put on YouTube. Like I said, managed to get to a show in person, thankfully. But the whole part of the original point was, like you said, the venue itself. When we were there, like I said, it just to get up looked lovely, but the fact of like the bar was always busy. There's always people buying drinks, people buying snacks for the kids, doing this, that, and the other. So that venue probably made more in that afternoon than it might have done for like the whole week prior. But that's what wrestling can bring to the community. Like I said, it helps everything just level up.
And I think it's often overlooked, in terms of, it's a wrestling show. That's what people will say. Like, there's a guy that works in the bar that we run at, and I'd say he's your typical, hard man, gay wrestling, gay wrestling. And so anyway, he was at the first show behind the bar and the second show that we did last year. And after the second show, he came over and he went, Taylor, can I have a chat? I said, yeah. He was like, I had a lot of like negative reservations about this. Like, not only was it like wrestling, but like gays wrestling. I says, all right, okay. He went, but you know what it is, mate? And this is exactly what he said. I fucking love it. And I was like, oh, well. I said, well, we're doing something right. And when he's not working, he's always there as well, like floating about. He'll come in and sit and watch a couple of matches. And, and that's, if you can create a fan from that, I think you're in for a winner, and I love that experience. My nephews take a massive role in it as well. My middle nephew does the lights and the ring bell, and he's only just turned 11, but he absolutely loves it. And then we did a show the end of last year where he had an opportunity to become a temporary referee to count a 1, 2, 3 for somebody, and like he talks about it all of the time, and I've got pictures of the both of them, like hands in the air in the ring, and my mom's never really been a massive fan, but like she comes to all the shows with the kids, and she always says like the boys did never shut up about it, and to me, it's bringing us memories together as well as a family, which is important for me. Family means a lot.
That is just prime examples of exactly like the positivity that wrestling can. Again, anybody knows what the left side knows, for our relationship with a few other people, we're massive advocates of trying to the positivity that wrestling shows can impact on families, on kids, on the community, stuff like that. And that is just that first one. You're on about that guy be like, God, gay wrestling, meh. Yes. And then after two shows, be like, I love this shit. This is awesome.
And like it's like when you go and see a band you've never heard of, isn't it? You think, I've only heard the one song, but then actually you think, I do know a lot more of these songs. Wrestling can be the same. I remember, who was I talking to? It might have been somebody that I work with, and he was like, but it's just this, it's just that. I was like, well, I says, why don't you stop being such a miserable swine and get yourself along? I mean, he didn't, because he ended up, he was working, but yeah, I must harass them all at work. Get yourselves along, and become a bad salesman.
Dude, and the middle nephew to be a ref, to even just being involved in like ringing the bell and stuff like that. Again, I can just imagine them on like a Monday morning going to school, be like, guess what I did at the weekend? Like,
yeah, and I remember as well, because obviously I was doing the wages and stuff, and I had an envelope with his name on, and he was. I think it was in one of the matches, because I do a drag act called the Dame, and she basically she hits the other one with a paper plate with cream on in the face. So we had shaving foam and stuff left over. So Aiden was like running around the ring, hitting people with cakes in the face, and the guys were putting the ring down, were having a good laugh. Anyway, I gave him this envelope with his name, and he was like, "What's this?" I says, "Well, open it." So obviously, it was a bit pocket money, and he was like, "I get paid." I was like, "Well, yeah, you've done a good job, haven't you?" And he was like chuffed, and obviously, I want to teach them that sometimes you've got to work hard to get things. I mean, to go sort of personally, the reason they're so close to us is because their mum died during COVID, and then my brother died the year after. So the three boys were like sort of put into the care of the grandparents, which is why we spend a lot of time with them. So to have them involved with the wrestling as well and taking an interest, it's important for me because I think about my brother would want them to sort of be still having and making memories like that, because although he never liked the wrestling, he used to always bully me about it when we were kids. And it's important that they're involved and that they get it, and I'm trying to teach them some things as well, so it's good.
Dude, just recharging my soul here. I'm just kind of saying, it's like with just inner glow. It's like, yeah, that's just wholesome stuff, but it's awesome. That's how it should be. It's just like you said. It's just, yeah. Again, I do to repeat myself constantly, but the positivity of just what a wrestling show can do, what a great wrestling show can do.
That word wholesome is probably like what it all should be about, because it should be wholesome for everybody who takes part. And I've been to loads of shows and I've worked on many shows in the past where there's been that vibe, and you've come home and you can't sleep because you're so wired for what's happened. I mean, I'm both sides of that spectrum because I don't sleep a week before the show. I'm terrible. In fact, the last one I was so wired. Like if I'd had to have matches and to keep my eyes on, I would have. But I get so like, I would have said, well, yeah, it's a mixture of things: nerves, fear, failure, and then there's the excitement of it, and especially when you've got the likes of Shea Monet on your show, and Fraser Gervin and Jack Ripley and Nico Astro and Jimmy Kumar and Venus and Ewan G. Mackey and Pride and all these people, they're as mad as a box of frogs, and that's why I love them.
That's the thing, but as well, you want to put on the best show possible. You want to leave that impression, like we said before. You want these, you want them to leave and be like, man, I cannot wait for the next Wrestling Go with Pride show. I cannot wait to be brought back in, or to be contacted, and it's just having that kind of atmosphere. Like I said, the pressure. I can't even imagine, being a promoter like the week leading up to the show. After the show, I can just imagine like the body after the adrenaline stops. The day after, just your body just shutting down and being like, right,
I generally align me shows with a long weekend where I'm off work, because I couldn't physically go to work the next day or the day after, because I would be totally like a zombie. But I tell you what would be interesting is if you're able to come to our August show, Ruby's birthday brawl, come along, spend the full day with her, and enjoy the show as well. I'd like to invite you along to do that.
That would be amazing. I will speak to, because I don't drive. I'm relying on a certain gentleman called Mr. Ian Baker. If I could sweet talk him, yeah, definitely, man. I'd love to. Yeah. I'll reach out to him and I'll see what we can do. Because man, I'd love to be there. This is kind of sort of stuff that's just, again, to repeat, so it's just wholesome. Just being part of that, just being there to see it in person. Man, that'd be amazing.
I think anybody can come on and tell you about these things, and all promotions will have the same conversations with you about the shows and what they aim to do and please and tick boxes. But ultimately, I said when I first started, like I put an open invitation at all the promoters in Newcastle, to come along, like for a reduced cost and sit and enjoy the show. A couple did, but I mean it's irrelevant whether they did or they didn't. I think it was a good opportunity to show them that what we do, and we're not sort of the same old, and get the vibe for themselves. And I think it's good that people experience that. Likewise, when I go to shows, I go to be a fan, and I immerse myself fully in the action. I don't have me promoter head on. I go there and I just have a great time. Like North Wrestling, I absolutely love their shows. Absolutely banging. haven't been to as many recently because I've been so busy with work and this and that and the other. But the next opportunity I get to go to a North show. And in fact, I did have tickets for True Grit. I think it was Effie's big gear brunch last year, but my car died. So I couldn't get down for it, and it was too late and expensive to book trains. You know what they're like in this country.
That would be TNT, wouldn't it? The Effie's big gay brunch. I want to say
Yes, yes, that's
TNT.
what it was. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, all the way over in Liverpool, dude. Yeah, that would have been a trek and a half from the northeast to the northwest.
Yeah. Oh, like I say, I love a road trip. I've been to Bradford to see wrestling before. I went to see. They were called. What the hell? So they're called Kingdom now, and then there's Wrestling Church. Gareth Angel. GT Ministries. That's what it was originally. It was a combination of those two places. Now, obviously, I'd been down to watch a couple of their shows, and they were fantastic as well. Gareth, a very experienced wrestler and promoter now.
Yeah, I've known. Yeah, I kind of knew Gareth back in the day when he was running the BWA, the Bradford Wrestling Alliance, up in Odsall kind of thing. So yeah, I've known Gareth for a while. If you ever do venture back down to Kingdom, obviously, Kingdom's great to Bradford. There's another promotion very similar called FCB. They also put on sort of great shows in Bradford. And Planet Wrestle that I mentioned, they're based.
Well, I've got some time off in the end after the show. I've got a week off work, and I'm planning to try and get to a few shows elsewhere. So maybe we can chat offline, and you can grab us some details absolutely for that. Because FCB is that Fountains Church or something? FCB.
Yes, Fountains Church.
Yeah.
I think kind of a split from
GTM, yeah. So Pride, who I work with, he wrestles down there as well.
He does, yes.
I'm up to go to a few shows elsewhere.
Yeah, Pride's on most of their shows, actually. He's has some banging matches. He always delivers, and the venue looks awesome. Again, on YouTube, if you ever just want to dip your toe in, just check them out. You know what I'm talking about. They've got a YouTube channel, and they put all their shows just under the live tab, and they're all on there for free kind of thing. So yeah, if you want to watch the Pride matches, he's on there. He's had some, like I say, some great matches. So Planet that I mentioned, but yeah, we'll talk about this. Obviously, now that you've been on the show, dude, I've got a bad habit of just bothering people after they've been on the show, being in contact, just be like, I'll share this for you, I'll share this. How's it going?
Sort of passing on sort of what you like and what you enjoy to other people in this sort of game. I think it's good for everybody. You get to share a knowledge and share an experience, and nobody knows all of the answers. I don't. Because one of the worst questions I get asked, and I hate it. It puts me on a total anxiety freak. Is when people say to you, "What do you want from the match?" I freak out so much, because I don't actually know, and I do know, but I don't want to be like the dictator in the match. Like, some promoters will tell them every spot they want to see, and I'm not brought that way. So yeah,
you've got to trust the talent, haven't you?
Absolutely, they're doing the job, not me. That's what I always say. I says, "Well, you're in there. What can you do for me?" Like, I don't want to say it. I mean, sometimes I'll carry on. I'll say, "I want you to go through a table on fire," and then and they go and look at us. I was like, "I'm only joking."
See that balcony up there? That huge balcony. Or
fly off that. Zip line to the room.
But that's it. Oh yeah, that's it. But we ain't got a zip line, but you can just got like a washing line and an umbrella. That'll do. But Mary Poppins sliding down. But that's the I can't, man. I just imagine being asked that question, just being like, I can give you a few bullet points. I can kind of tell you the story that we're trying to tell. But yeah, you guys, you know what you're doing, and obviously, you've reeled off a list of talent, and you're like, I think I can sit back and just trust you lot to do what you do.
That's it. And it's the same when I'm sort of, they'll say, I'll talk about like a story. They might say things like, "Oh, well, you're the promoter. What do you want?" that's not really the full thing. I say to them, because the idea of running the show and booking the shows, yeah, comes from the promoter. That's what they want to sort of put on. But if you think it'll work different or you'll work better with this person, then please, creatively, the door's always open for that conversation. And there's so many times in wrestling that happens where you match the wrong people in the match, and it doesn't come over bad because they're professionals at the end of the day, but they might not, sort of, the styles might not be the same, the promoter might not. So I might have only seen one match by you, for example, where you've done this certain move or you've this certain spot, but then I might try and replicate that with somebody who you can't do that with. So actually, it's about working together to get the right sort of setup.
Yes.
Strategy, that's the word I'm looking for, to build the right strategy.
The right strategy. Because that's the thing, yeah, like that's the perfect example. Because obviously, who knows better than the talent with to who they can work best with? Which is why I think you sort of find, there's not clicks, but you get certain two wrestlers will have amazing matches across different promotions because they just work so well together.
Yeah.
A promoter knows, right, if I put these two against each other, it's like Adam Bolt and Shea Monet. I've seen them have amazing 5-star matches in several different promotions, and they know each other, and they've kind of got that love-hate relationship where they'll try and one up each other, or they'll make each other look great. Adam Bolt and Tony Wright, or Tony Wright and Scott Oberman, all these kind of guys are just, they have that chemistry. And as a promoter, you can be like, I know you're going to work well together.
Yeah. Well, it's the same with, I had recently had Pele work on a lot of shows of mine, and he's another one of those individuals who gave us so much sort of support on the building of it all. In fact, Pele, and I'd say Pele, you and Shea, between the three of them, have been fundamental in getting sort of Wrestling with Pride to where it is now. And Pele is going places because of the ability he has, as is his tag team partner Grayson.
Yes.
Gen 1, as they're called. So ultimately, yeah, you're right, and I think there's another. Oh, it goes back to tag teams, to be honest with you. So, I used to love the Working Class Militia, Slugger Hampton, and he changed names that many times. What's his name? I love him a bit as well. I know his real name. I'm not going to say his real name. The hell was his name? Grayson Riley. That was his name. Was it the Wolf of Derbyshire? Anyway, they were a tag team, and they worked the sort of in such a way. And I remember they were going up against the what the hell? My memory's just totally gone. What the hell's that name? Joel Cobra's in it.
Oh, the Main Event Mafia.
Yeah. So those two tag teams, I'd seen them work in various places, and every single time it was a banger. And I seen them like at a promotion local in the Northeast. It's very similar, and it was just like everything you'd want from a tag team match. But the way they worked together, they could do it anywhere, because actually they're so in tune with each other that it just works every single time. Love it.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, I want to say it's the Main Event Mafia. I'm pretty certain. I remember the initials being MEM. I'm sure. So obviously, again, known Joel for a few years. I was trying to keep an eye on what he was doing, kind of thing. So I've seen many a match graphic. But same as you, I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, crap. Am I right? Am I wrong? I'm just thinking of something else.
And it's frustrating. I work with them really close. Even they're probably going to watch this and think, "What a dick he is." You know my name. But I know Slugger Hampton and his partner. Oh God, it'll come to us at 3:00 in the morning. I'll message you.
I'll put it in the description. If you want to know the answer to this question, I'll have been told it at some point before I've uploaded this episode, and it will be in the description.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, like I say, we could go on all night. Wrestling has become such a big part of what I do, and it's because enjoying it as a kid, and I'm continuing that sort of momentum as an adult, and I just love it. It's like an escape, isn't it? Though you can escape from the real world, and actually, I think it's probably why people do it.
It's
because
like it's just that kind of like say it's that form of escapism. Anybody, I'm a massive wrestling fan. I'm a massive movie fan as well. Though, I could sit quite happy just sit there. And I'll either be watching wrestling or I'll be watching a film.
yeah,
It's just kind of tune it out and just focus on that. Or it's that suspension of disbelief. It's either on screen or in person. It's just amazing. And for when people do it right, it is just that's why, as much as I love films, wrestling just kind of tops it for me because of you get to see it in person. You get to see
yeah,
these people up close and personal. And like I sort of said, when they're on top form, when they are the best at what they do, man. As fans, we're both fans. We still the fact that they can make us suspend that disbelief,
yeah.
and for that 10, 15 minutes that match is on, man, that shit is real. We are watching that. We are buying every punch. We are buying every move. We're all in and all in, and we genuinely care about the result.
Yeah, and it drags you in, like you say, you become so upset. Not well, yeah, you do, but you become obsessed with it, and it has you right where it wants it. I mean, it's a shame that the mainstream wrestling's not really what it was, but I enjoy watching and keeping up with because the internet again, it's brought it all into one place. You can watch, like you say, on YouTube, you can watch everyone's work. Or you can go on their Patreons and catch up there and see the highlights. I mean, I'll find myself just sitting scrolling through Instagram watching people's clips and highlight reels because it's it's real in your face wrestling. And why would you pay hundred and odd pound to see WWE or AEW when actually you could go to your local social club for a fraction of the price, put money into that local business and watch some damn good wrestling with people
Yeah.
you'll get up close and personal with. You have to pay £1,000 for a meet and greet to get a signature and a photo. You can just see these people in the flesh, and that's what I love about independent wrestling. It's up in your face, and you don't have to pay a fortune to enjoy it. It's there for everybody.
Ah, mate.
Yeah,
Kind of
support
kindred
local
spirits.
wrestling.
Yes, it's on the graphic before this episode will start. There's some amazing piece that says support independent wrestling by Grapple Artistry. Do just that. Yeah, it's just bang on, hit the nail on the head. You mentioned Pele. I was going to kind of bring him up just before we went because, yeah, obviously, notice match graphics. Love Prince Pele. Again, somebody else I hold in such high regard all the time in the world for Pele. And like I said, if he's helping you, if he's involved, if he's a brain that you can pick, there's very few better in that sense. And he's just, again, same as I said about Jimmy, same as I said about Shay, he's just an awesome human being. So there's no downside to having him in your life. It's just all good.
I mean, there's so many, I've worked with so many people now. I always feel bad if I don't mention them, but I don't think they'll be huffed or pleased, really, that I have. But the likes of Priscilla as well, the
Ollie,
opportunity.
yes.
Yeah, the opportunity to work with Priscilla this last year, and we presented her with a Queen of the Ring trophy that we made for her with her bust on, and it was just such a good moment for us to celebrate not only the what trailblazing Ollie has done for wrestling with the character of Priscilla, and then there's Visage as well, which we're going to be working with this year as well. And there's just so many people like I want to work with that's still out there that I haven't used yet, and it's like I say, it's like Pokemon, isn't it? Really, you've got to catch them all.
Back to Pele again. Yeah, Gen 1. There we go. We've got Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4. They all just keep going or keep evolving. Mate, I said I'd keep you for about an hour. I've just noticed the time. And I kind of feel like if I don't put a stop to this at some point, I'm just going to keep going and going and going. So,
because I can talk your eyes off. I can talk your eyes off. I can talk forever. I'm a chatterbox.
The less I have to say, the better it is for everybody watching as well. So I'd be quite happy just to sit here and listen. But mate, we'll save it for another episode down the road if you're up for a return at some point.
Absolutely, anytime. A pleasure. Like I said, it's been a pleasure to be on.
Dude, do you want to let people know where they can obviously keep an eye out on upcoming shows, match announcements, all the good stuff on like Instagram? If you've got Instagram, seems to be the main one now, because it's very visual.
Yeah, Instagram is very, very popular. We are on TikTok, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and Patreon. We don't have YouTube or X or Twitter, or it's called. I do most of the management of that myself, so I don't sort of have time. TikTok's the one I keep falling off the radar with, but we do have a TikTok page. And Pride Mania may feature some live footage on the day from there. So we may stream a little bit on TikTok live, or Instagram for that matter. Actually, we can't do it on Instagram. We can do it on TikTok. But yeah, that's where you'll find all the information out about us on our socials. We have a T-mail where you can buy merchandise and buy tickets via the ticket source link on all of the posters. It'll always be on there, or there's a QR code if you pass one in the street. And yeah, as I said, I'd like to openly invite you and your colleague to come and experience Ruby's birthday brawl in August.
Right, I will. Well, I'll start planting the seeds. I'll start sending him stuff and be like, "Fancy a road trip? You want a road trip? Yeah, let's have a road trip." I'll just send him like just random things, like I'll make him watch the film Road Trip, or I'll send him some snacks or some drinks, and like, oh, just planting the seeds, and they'll be like, I want to have a road trip. Like, yes, there we go. Right, got the perfect destination. Let's go. August.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Dude, thank you so much. Obviously, everybody else as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Obviously, when we upload the episode tomorrow, we'll obviously tag Wrestling with Pride in it. If you're not following them, please follow them. Keep an eye out on the upcoming shows. If you can get to a show, great. If you can't, share the show, share the posters, share the graphics, get more eyes on it, help support British wrestling, independent wrestling, like we've been saying. And it's just obviously thank you for watching this. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment, all the generic stuff we ask you to do. And just as we both sort of said, if you can get to a show, if you can get to a Wrestling with Pride show, amazing, please do so. If you can't, if there's other promoters near you, other promotions near you, shows going on near you, go check them out. I'm presuming if you're watching this, you go to wrestling shows, but if you've come across this by chance and you've never been to a wrestling show, go to one. It's great. You'll love it. You'll have a big smile on your face. If you don't, I'll refund you the ticket price. But yeah, dude, thank you so much.
It's been an honor. Thank you very much for having us and listening to my dulcet tones.
Mate, smooth, silky smooth. I thought it was Morgan Freeman at one point. I was just like, smooth voice.
I'm Morgan
Freeman. I will narrate your life. Yes, happy place. Dude, thank you so much. And yeah, everybody else, remember, always work the left side. Goodbye.